long wheelbase. Make our way down this chunk. Oh yeah. So I guess the moment everyone's kind of been waiting for, would I go with a Hightower or a Megatower? What's going on, you guys? Mo Awesome here from Awesome MTB. For those of you new to the channel, me and my awesome fiance Hannah live in a van full time. We ride mountain bikes, we travel around, we bring you guys along. So if you guys want some mountain bike content, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. But for today's video, I obviously do not have my Ibis Ritmo that I'm normally riding. This is the new Santa Cruz Hightower. So Santa Cruz recently released this bike, and basically it's a replacement for the older Hightower. So for those of you that don't know, I have actually owned, and this rarely happens, essentially all three generations of this bike. I used to have the Tallboy LT, and then I picked up the Hightower, and I had that thing in both configurations. I had the standard one that it came in, which was 135 mils of rear travel, and then there was also a hack when you can basically take a longer stroke rear shock and get that thing up to 150 mils of travel. So for the new Santa Cruz Hightower, they ended up slackening the head angle just a tad, putting about 5 mils of travel in the rear. The front is gonna stay at 150 mils of travel, while the rear is at 140. In the low setting, because this bike does have two settings, a low and a high, and that is gonna affect bottom bracket height and the head angle as well. In the low setting, you're looking at a 65.2 degree head angle. Another significant change that Santa Cruz did implement this year is they revised the VPP on this bike. Santa Cruz does utilize a VPP suspension design. On the previous generation of Hightower, which didn't have that, you definitely felt like the initial stroke was just a tad stiff, and the mid stroke just needed a little bit more support, and that's where this new generation of VPP comes in. It's been on the Nomad, it's been on the V10. They made the Megatower that newest generation, and so now it was time for the Hightower to get it, and I'm really excited to try it out. I'm really hoping that it has that kind of suppleness in the initial stroke and support in the mid stroke. But all in all, very pumped to give this thing a try. Hannah is on the Juliana version of the Hightower, so they call that the Maverick. Basically same geo and same travel and all that stuff, except there's a few subtle changes, like a female specific tune on that rear shock, as well as a few other key differences like the saddle and the grips, just to make it a little bit more comfortable for girls out there. And it also comes in a really rad color design. What I want you guys to do is let us know in the comment section, which one looks cooler, the Juliana version or the Santa Cruz of the Hightower. So it will be interesting to test this and compare it to the Megatower, which we demoed early in the year. I think the interesting thing is going to be, is there enough of a difference between the Hightower and the Megatower? Yeah, with that being said, we're about to ride an EWS stage called Golden Boner. For all you creeps out there, don't take that the wrong way, but let's go ahead, ride this trail, and see what we think of the Santa Cruz Hightower. Whew. I'm following the one and only Hannah the Kook. Like I said, we're riding a trail called Golden Boner, and I know there's gonna be a couple of comments that, hey, I thought this was a family channel. Just a trail, you guys. Oh yeah, so far so good. Oh yeah. Oh man, no, I heard I felt like that was my chainring hit that rock. Definitely feel like a lower bottom bracket on this thing. I'm curious what the numbers are on paper. Oh, nice and loose. You can tell that the EWS is coming through here because this thing is blasted. Long wheelbase. Make our way down this chunk. Oh yeah. Woo! Oh man, that rear end is just nice and active. What is this? Oh yeah. Woo! Hannah's stoked. And you guys, we will have Hannah cam relatively soon. We lost the memory card, that's why we only have one GoPro right now. All right, enough talking. More's trying to stay alive. Woo! Good luck to all EWS racers. We have some friends who are racing that race. They were expecting rain, which kind of sucks because it is dry. Drier than my humor. I don't know. Am I a funny guy? I don't know. I will say so far, reach-wise, man, this thing feels very stable for an XL. That's what I'm on. Oh, Hannah's out of control. And so am I. Wow. This thing is, really blown out. But little disappointing how blown out this trail is, because we've been here all season and it was actually running really good 2 weeks ago. And just this last week of a bunch of people running down it has definitely destroyed it. So, yeah, a little bit of a bummer. Whoa, nice and loose and rowdy. I've never been to Chile, but I've seen riding videos, and this kind of looks like some of that really rad red dirt. Oh my God. So far, the bike is handling really well. Feels a little bit more trail than all mountain, I would say, in terms of descending, but handling its own for sure. Whew. Oh man, really good climber. It's such a comfortable seated pedaling position that I really feel like you just put the power down, the bike just sticks to the ground. I think that has something to do too with that improved suspension design. Woo. All right, so this is a trail called Roman the Loam, I believe. Not very loamy anymore. Whoa. Oh, wow, made it up and over. Oh, whoa, clipped the tree. These bars feel a little wider. I wonder what on paper they are. Feel a little wider than 800 too. So be curious to see what they're coming in at. A lot of technical roots coming up. I don't want to stick to the ground as much as possible. I feel like a racer right now with the tape. Feels kind of cool. Tight switchback, and then I think it gets, what do we got? Oh man. Just kind of stay in control with how blown out everything is. Woo! Still making our way down. Whoop. Oh yeah, nice and technical. Hannah's just charging it with ease. And the bike has a really nice responsive rear end as well, so it's making these switchbacks feel very manageable. I definitely am digging the bike. Woo! Couple of corners down here. Oh, this is brutal. Yeah, buddy. Sweet, well that was an awesome ride on the new Santa Cruz Hightower. I was definitely impressed with that bike, both uphill and downhill. I'll start off with the climbing. Climbing, it was a very efficient climber, and the cool thing is even though it felt like the initial stroke was a little bit more active, so on those looser, more shaly fire road climbs, the bike really just stuck to the ground. It still felt very efficient to the point where I felt comfortable getting out of the saddle and really putting that power down. With that being said, if it was a longer pavement style climb, I do think I would probably lock out the shock, and that's probably going to lead to one of the drawbacks is if you're a rider that really likes to utilize that rear shock lockout, the shock is pretty low, so it's a little bit uncomfortable kind of reaching down there to turn it on and off. So depending on how often you like to lock out your shock, might be something that to consider. For me personally, I am someone who I tend to lock my shock a little bit more frequently. That's just something to consider, but that aside, I did feel like the pedaling position was very comfortable, and I feel like if this was a bike that I was going to go take on big 50-mile-plus rides, I wouldn't have that much of an issue with it because I just felt really comfortable seated in the saddle. As far as the downhill, definitely impressed me. You do feel a little bit more of a trail style bike in comparison to the Megatower that we demoed early in the year. The Megatower definitely had a little bit more of a plow feeling factor, where the Hightower, you could definitely feel like the rear end was really responsive, and those switchbacks, it made it with ease. In comparison to the Megatower in terms of stability, I did feel like the Megatower was just a tad more stable than the Hightower. But at the same time, it's not to say that the Hightower wasn't stable. It still was a very, I felt like, I could take the burlier rides, still feel really comfortable in the bike, but at the same time make the corner after. Whereas the Megatower was definitely kind of a little bit more of a straight line style bike. So I guess the moment everyone's kind of been waiting for, would I go with a Hightower or a Megatower? I think that Hightower has a little bit of an edge for me. And that's just because when I'm looking at a bike, I like to have that whole one bike quiver, not really two into having two bikes at the same time, primarily because we do live in a van and we can have 4 bikes maximum at a time, and 2 of them have to be Hannah's, 2 of them for me. So I think the Hightower is a bike that's going to handle really burly descents, but at the same time, it's not going to feel too sluggish on a bigger, longer style rides. With that being said, the Megatower was still a fairly efficient climber and not that far off from the Hightower. I will say though, when it came to the downhills, it did feel like the Megatower just had that edge in terms of straight line stability, but it did feel a little bit like it wanted to go straight, where the Hightower, you really got kind of the nimbleness out of that style bike. So just a little bit more playful on the Hightower edge. I will say that if I did have a Tallboy, I would probably go with the Megatower, just because it would be cool to kind of have the best of both worlds. And I definitely think that would be a really awesome combo. So I really do feel like you kind of got to take each bike out for a demo to really know which one you want, because they're so different, but at the same time, they are somewhat similar. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just kind of finding the right bike to fit your personality. But that's the cool thing about being a mountain biker nowadays, is there is really no bad bikes out there. So good job, Santa Cruz. Really enjoyed the Hightower, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hit that like button. It helps out the channel a ton. I guess we'll see you guys in the next video. 3 videos a week. Until next time, you guys, ride awesome. You.